If you are someone who tends to people please, you may have asked yourself this question at some point. Why do I keep ending up in the same kinds of relationships? Maybe you meet someone and at first it feels exciting. There's chemistry, a sense of familiarity, a strong emotional pull. And then, slowly over time, the same patterns begin appearing again. You start feeling anxious. You start overgiving. You start trying harder to make the relationship work. And at some point, you begin noticing the red flags. But by then, you're already emotionally invested. So today I want to talk about red flags versus green flags in relationships, but from a perspective that most people don't explain. Not just dating advice, but what is actually happening inside your nervous system, your conditioning, and your attachment patterns when you feel drawn to certain people. Because if you are a people pleaser, the problem is rarely that you don't see the red flags. The real challenge is understanding why those red flags didn't feel alarming in the beginning. If you're new here, I'm Sandra Rives. I'm a transformational authenticity coach and counselor, and the focus of my work is helping people understand how their conditioning, attachment patterns, and nervous system responses shape their relationships. Because once you understand why you think and react the way you do, you gain the awareness needed to begin changing those patterns. And that's exactly what we're exploring today. Why do you think people pleasers often miss red flags? Most people think red flags are obvious. Things like dishonesty, disrespect, emotional inconsistency, manipulation, lack of accountability. But for people pleasers, red flags often appear much more subtly. Because the nervous system may already be familiar with certain emotional dynamics, and familiarity can sometimes feel like attraction. Okay, so what role does our inner childhood conditioning really play? One of the most important influences on our relationships come from early emotional experiences. Psychologist John Bowlby, who developed attachment theory, proposed that the relationships we form with caregivers in childhood create internal models for how relationships work. If someone grew up in an environment where they needed to keep the peace, anticipate other people's needs, minimize their own feelings, they may have learned that being accommodating helps maintain connection. That pattern can carry forward into adult relationships. So when someone meets a partner who requires a lot of emotional adjustment, their nervous system may interpret that dynamic as normal rather than concerning. Another important factor is the nervous system and the role it plays in attraction. Your nervous system constantly scans relationships for signals of safety or threat. But here's something fascinating. The nervous system often prioritizes familiarity over health. So, if someone grew up experiencing emotional unpredictability, they may unconsciously feel drawn toward relationships that recreate that emotional environment. Not because they want dysfunction, but because the nervous system recognizes the pattern. This is one reason people sometimes describe intense relationships as chemistry. But sometimes what feels like chemistry is actually nervous system activation. All right, so let's look at attachment styles and relationship dynamics. Attachment theory identifies several attachment patterns that influence adult relationships. Secure attachment. People with secure attachment generally feel comfortable with closeness and communication. They tend to express needs clearly and respond calmly to challenges. Anxious attachment. People with anxious attachment often fear abandonment and may become highly invested in maintaining the relationship. They may overlook red flags because the priority becomes keeping the connection intact. Avoidant attachment. People with avoidant attachment often value independence and may struggle with emotional closeness. Disorganized attachment. This style can involve conflicting desires for closeness and distance. Many people pleasers fall into anxious or anxious-leaning patterns, which can make them more tolerant of behaviors that signal inconsistency. Now, why insight alone isn't enough? One of the most frustrating things for many people is this. They understand these patterns intellectually. They can recognize red flags, but they still find themselves drawn toward similar relationships. That's because insight alone doesn't change the nervous system. Your nervous system learns patterns through repeated emotional experiences. And changing those patterns require new experiences and conscious practice, not just awareness. While red flags are important, many people overlook something even more useful. Green flags. And green flags are what people pleasers should pay attention to. Because green flags are behaviors that indicate emotional safety and maturity. Some important ones include consistency between words and actions, emotional accountability, the ability to handle disagreement respectfully, curiosity about your thoughts and feelings, respect for your boundaries. But here's something interesting. For someone used to emotional intensity, green flags can initially feel boring or unfamiliar because stability doesn't create the same adrenaline response as unpredictability. Learning to recognize this difference is part of rewiring relationship patterns. Practical things to start doing, and this is very important for people pleasers. A few practices that many people have never tried before but can be incredibly helpful is, number 1, the pause technique. When you meet someone new and feel strong attraction, pause. Ask yourself, what exactly is my nervous system responding to? Is it calm connection or emotional intensity? This pause helps move decision-making from emotional reaction to conscious awareness. Practice 2. Observe consistency over time. This is vital. Rather than evaluating someone based on the initial connection, observe patterns over time. Healthy relationships reveal themselves through consistency. Watch how someone behaves across different situations. Number 3, notice how you feel around them. Pay attention to your internal state. Do you feel relaxed, able to express yourself, emotionally steady? Or do you feel anxious, unsure, responsible for maintaining the relationship? Your nervous system often provides important information. Now we come to number 4, practice small boundaries. One of the most powerful ways to identify healthy partners is to set small boundaries early. For example, express a preference. Say no to something minor. Communicate a need. Healthy people respond with respect. Unhealthy dynamics often reveal themselves quickly. Many people pleasers believe the key to healthier relationships is learning how to identify better partners. But the deeper shift often involves something else. Learning how to stay connected to yourself inside relationships. Because when you stay connected to your own needs, values, and boundaries, it becomes much easier to recognize what truly feels healthy. Now, if you found yourself repeating similar relationship patterns, it doesn't mean something is wrong with you. Often it simply means your nervous system learned certain strategies for maintaining connection earlier in life. And those strategies can be changed. When you begin understanding your conditioning, your attachment patterns, and your nervous system responses, you begin to see relationships differently. And from that awareness, new choices become possible. If this video resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever noticed yourself overlooking red flags because you were trying to keep the relationship working? And if you're interested in learning more about authenticity, people pleasing, and how to rewire these patterns, make sure you subscribe. Because authenticity is always welcome here.